2026 is right around the corner, and half of the Formula One grid could look completely different next season. With many contracts expiring and many rookies rising through the ranks, even some big names might be out of a seat next year. So in this video, we're going to break down who might be on the chopping block and who might steal their place. But unlike many other channels do, this is not just a predictions video. In this video, we're going to use trusted sources and reliable data to be able to make an informed guess of what the 2025 grid might look like. What's up, guys? My name is Mars and welcome back to the channel. Let's start with contracts, what we know for sure. Starting with Red Bull, we know that Max Verstappen has a contract through 2028 according to Planet F1. The one who might be in trouble here is Yuki Tsunoda, who only has a one-year deal until 2025 with Red Bull. Next up, we got Ferrari. There are many rumors about Lewis Hamilton leaving Ferrari, but the reality is that those are all just rumors. When it comes to what's actually on paper, Lewis Hamilton signed a multi-year deal with Ferrari beginning in 2025, and it's confirmed through at least 2026. Of course, teams are able to break these contracts, and many of these contracts that we're going to be talking about have many contract clauses that if they're not hit, they can be broken, and I bet Hamilton's contract does have some of these. So it doesn't mean that these numbers are infallible, but we're going to make the best guess possible, and in order to do so, we're going to go by what's on paper. When it comes to Charles Leclerc, he's under contract for several more reasons. It has not been publicly confirmed yet, but the rumor suggests that Leclerc will be at Ferrari until 2029 with a possible break clause in 2027. When it comes to our constructors champions, McLaren, Lando Norris extended a multi-year deal beyond his prior 2025 end. Credible reports suggest at least until 2026, if not 2027. When it comes to Oscar Piastri, he recently extended into a multi-year deal as well, and the rumors point to a contract lasting until at least 2028. The next one is perhaps the team that's been talked about the most, because we're going to talk about Mercedes. George Russell's contract ends in 2025. The extension beyond that remains unresolved or not finalized. Yes, there's been many rumors about this, and many people saying most likely George Russell will stay at Mercedes. We're gonna get into that later. Some other rumors saying he already renewed with Mercedes, but these are just rumors. When it comes to Kimi Antonelli, he's kind of on the same boat as George Russell. He only signed until the end of the 2025 season. But Kimi Antonelli is kind of in a different situation, being that he is a rookie, that Mercedes has spent so much of their time and effort and money into his career, and that he is supposed to be the future of Mercedes. Of course, if we go by recency bias, his recent performances, especially in that European campaign, haven't been the best for Kimi Antonelli, but he is still a very young driver with lots of potential ahead of him. Next up, we have another team that many people have also been talking about, because we're talking about Aston Martin. Fernando Alonso signed a new multi-year deal to cover 2025 and onward into 2026. Many rumors about his retirement or leaving Aston Martin simply aren't true. I've seen this all over the media, and he talked about it. He said he might retire at the end of 2025. He said this in a Formula1.com official interview, but we know for sure that Fernando Alonso has a contract until the end of the 2026 season. When it comes to Lance Stroll, it is a different deal. What we know officially about his contract is that he confirmed a deal until 2025 and beyond, but there is no firm long-term end date that has been disclosed. Lance Stroll is of course another controversial character with many rumors behind this, because of course many people say that his performance does not align with the team he's driving for, and that he is there because he is the son of the owner. That's something that's completely understandable. I can see both sides of it, but let me know what you think down below in the comments. Next up, we have Racing Bulls. Isaac Hadjar has a contract that's confirmed until the end of 2026 with Red Bull. But here is the issue. Because he drives for Racing Bulls. Yes, it's owned by Red Bull, but his contract with Racing Bulls, which is a separate contract, is until the end of 2025, and therefore he is still attached to the brand Red Bull, but not exactly to the team Racing Bulls, which we're definitely going to get into later, because I have a big prediction for Isaac Hadjar's future. When it comes to Liam Lawson, he only has a contract until the end of 2025 with Racing Bulls. Liam Lawson is a driver that has definitely struggled at Red Bull, especially when he was at the main Red Bull team at the beginning of the year, getting kicked out of that team after 5 races and sent to Racing Bulls. Recently though, his performance has definitely improved there, so we're gonna have to make predictions based on both of those factors. The next team that there's also lots of rumors about is Alpine. Pierre Gasly recently confirmed his extension until 2028, but his teammate, the Argentine Franco Colapinto, was initially given a 5-race contract at the beginning of 2025 when he replaced Jack Doohan. We know for sure that this contract has been extended because he's been at Alpine for more than 5 races, but there is nothing disclosed to the media as to how long this contract goes on for, and I truly doubt it goes on into 2026. That doesn't mean that Franco is completely out of the picture, but we'll have to see. The next team that we have is Haas. Esteban Ocon has for sure signed a multi-year deal at least through the end of 2026. Ollie Behrman on the other side signed a 2+1 contract. If you don't know what that means, it means that he has 2 years guaranteed with that team, this year being the first one, 2026 being the second one, +1, which is optional. At that point, I assume Ollie Behrman's hopes are that he is going to go to Ferrari, most likely, since he came from the Ferrari Academy and he's been through the ranks at Ferrari, possibly replacing Lewis Hamilton in the future if he retires by that point. But as of right now, both drivers are locked in for 2026. The next team that we have is one that's been rising through the ranks recently, a team that came from the very bottom in 2024 and made great improvement in 2025 with a much better driver lineup. Of course, I'm talking about Williams. Williams have been playing the vast majority of their cards right this year, in my opinion. Yes, even better than McLaren. McLaren is a team that's been improving for years, but do not forget that Williams was at the very bottom last year. And this year, with the leadership of James Vowles, they managed to secure Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon in a much better team and car. Let's talk about these contracts. Alex Albon re-signed in May of 2025 a multi-year deal that keeps him through 2026. When it comes to Carlos Sainz, he signed a 2-year contract, 2025 and 2026, with options to extend. That means that both drivers are locked in for 2026 in a team that has been putting the vast majority of their chips lately into their 2026 car. That means that we are expecting a much better Williams next year. Great news for all you Williams fans out there. And for the final two, I saved the new teams that we are going to have next year. Sauber turning into Audi and Cadillac. Let's start with Sauber. Nico Hülkenberg is also in a multi-year contract beyond 2025. That's all we know for sure with Sauber, which means that he is making it into that Audi transition. Now, is Gabriel Bortoleto going to make it into that transition as well? Gabriel Bortoleto also signed a multi-year deal beginning in 2025. Likely through at least the Audi transition period. That means that these two drivers are for sure, on paper, secured until the end of 2025. Now, of course, transfers can happen, contracts can be broken, but on paper, this will be Audi's lineup next year. Now, let's get into the final team that we have coming in next year. Next year, with 11 teams in Formula 1 and 22 drivers, we are adding Cadillac to the lineup. If you haven't watched my video about this, I highly recommend you watch it. At the end of this video, I go into detail about everything that we know about Cadillac, and what we know for sure about their driver lineup is that both drivers have signed multi-year contracts with Cadillac. When it comes to Sergio Pérez, he signed a contract with Cadillac until 2029. We've seen what happened with Sergio Pérez. He is not playing around anymore. He secured that 4-year contract with Cadillac, and he is, at least on paper, going to be in Formula 1 for the next 4 years. When it comes to Valtteri, he has also secured a multi-year contract with Cadillac, but a little shorter, until 2027. That is our current driver landscape. Let's now take a look at whose seat is at risk. The drivers whose seats are at risk for sure are Yuki Tsunoda at Red Bull, George Russell and Kimi Antonelli at Mercedes, Franco Colapinto at Alpine, and Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson at Racing Bulls. With all the information we've gathered, let's get right into the predictions. Of course, this part is going to have a lot of opinion base, but like I mentioned from the very beginning, informed opinion base. If you made it this far into the video, before you watch my predictions, let me know your predictions down below in the comments. Don't cheat, don't skip. Let me know what you truly think down below, because I may be wrong, you may be wrong, who knows? At this point in the video, we have the data, but it's just opinion based. Let's get right into the first one. We have Red Bull, with Verstappen confirmed until 2028, but Yuki Tsunoda with no renewal. In my personal opinion, Yuki Tsunoda will most likely lose this Red Bull seat. Now, that doesn't mean that Yuki Tsunoda is going to be out of Formula One. I don't think he will, but you gotta watch until the end so you see where I think he's gonna go. I think, like many other fans, that Isaac Hadjar has put on an insanely good performance this year. Yes, he's had some races that were bad here and there, but as a rookie, that's expected of him, and I put him and Gabriel Bortoleto as my 2 rookies of the year. So I fully expect Red Bull to move Isaac Hadjar to the big leagues to put him in the Red Bull seat, in the main Red Bull seat, alongside Max Verstappen. This is going to be a monumental task for Isaac Hadjar, without a doubt. Competing with Max Verstappen at a team that's basically built around him is going to be very hard, especially since some people at Red Bull, and especially a lot of Red Bull fans, almost expect that second driver to be like Max Verstappen's assistant instead of actually competing with each other for victories like we see at McLaren. This is not a shot at Red Bull or their fans. All I'm saying is that I personally prefer a Red Bull like we had a few years ago with Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen that were truly competitive with each other and were both great drivers. I think if Red Bull does things right, we could achieve this in the future. Of course, as Verstappen ages and Hadjar gains that knowledge, we could see in a couple of years 2 very competitive and good drivers fighting each other for points and titles. When it comes to Ferrari, I could speculate and lie to you like many content creators do, but that is not what I do. I do not expect Lewis Hamilton to be leaving Ferrari or kicked out of Ferrari in 2026. Ferrari is a legacy team. Ferrari is a team that gives their drivers time. They've made mistakes in the past, and yes, they fired champions like Sebastian Vettel, but I do not expect them to fire Lewis Hamilton, at least not next year. Next year, we have new regulations, a whole new car, a whole new setup. We know that Lewis Hamilton does not do well with the downforce era cars. With the new regulation, we will see how good he does, or if he's truly just past his prime. I talk about this quite clearly on my channel. Lewis Hamilton is one of the best drivers of all time, but his fans often ignore that he is no longer 20 or 30 years old, he is 40 years old. So it may very well be that it's not just the car, but the man just isn't in his prime anymore. And that's completely okay. Lewis Hamilton has already built his legacy. He's already one of the best. But for sure, in my opinion, Lewis Hamilton not getting fired, Charles Leclerc neither. We're talking about Lewis Hamilton, who's brought Ferrari so much money. Yes, not a lot of points, but like it or not, Lewis Hamilton is the face of Formula One for so many people around the world and has helped grow this sport all over the world, which means that having Lewis Hamilton in your team will bring in sponsors and will bring in money. And when it comes to Charles Leclerc, it's kind of a similar story, of course, not to the degree of Lewis Hamilton, but he is il predestinato. He is the Ferrari guy. As a Ferrari fan myself, I truly don't expect them to drop Charles Leclerc anytime soon, unless he starts like completely missing the points all the time in DNFing, which is something that I don't expect Charles Leclerc to do. The next team is a big one. The Constructors champions so far, and very likely one of these two drivers will be the Drivers' Champion at the end of this year. I am talking, of course, about McLaren. When it comes to McLaren, we know that Norris has signed a multi-year contract and Piastri as well. I don't expect McLaren to fire either of these drivers or either of these drivers leave McLaren. Yes, we know that Piastri has had his differences, especially lately with McLaren as a team, that he seemed to be upset after Singapore, but at the end of the day, when you're driving for the best performing team in Formula One and you want to win championships, you kind of have to suck it up and just stay there and win. And yes, many people will say that McLaren are not fair, and in that in trying to be fair, they've benefited either one of the two drivers. But the reality is that, in my opinion, yes, this is a horrible strategy that McLaren is using, trying to be fair and applying papaya rules. But at the end of the day, I don't think that they actually have a bias towards one of the two drivers, because both Andrea Stella and Zach Brown's are racers at heart. They like racing and they want to give both of their drivers a good opportunity to score points and win. The reason why they've been playing these politics lately is because they want to appease everyone, and when you try to do that too much, you end up making everyone mad, and I think we've seen that for sure out of McLaren. Next up, we have the biggest question perhaps in Formula One for 2026. I am talking about Mercedes. Like I mentioned before, there are many rumors about Russell and Kimi Antonelli. Let me tell you, those are all rumors. Do not fall for rumors. Nothing has been confirmed as of today of me recording this video, October 7th of 2025. So what we know for sure is that neither one has extended past 2025. I will tell you though that what we know for sure that's been going on at Mercedes is that both Russell and Antonelli want to extend here, but both Toto Wolff and Russell have been arguing back and forth, trying to get to a deal. One of the main reasons is perhaps that we know for sure that Mercedes was trying to close a deal with Max Verstappen, which didn't happen for 2026. But of course, if I was George Russell, I would definitely not like that, because that means that most likely his seat would be in jeopardy. When all of a sudden you go from being the second driver like George Russell was last year to leading this team, and you see that your team doesn't have as much trust on you like you wish they did, then it's understandable that he is looking at options. I still think though that George Russell will renew with Mercedes, perhaps for one more year, and then he's going to see his options. I always talk about George Russell, the most consistent driver in all of Formula One. I'm not saying he is the best, but he is for sure up there in the driver's standings for one reason, and it is that he is absolute consistency. And if I was George, I would be doing the same exact thing, and I would be looking at my options right now. Overall though, like I said, I think George Russell will renew with Mercedes for one more year, and I think the same goes for Kimi Antonelli. He has some bad performances here and there, so I don't expect them to renew with him for quite a long time, but maybe they will, because they also don't want to lose this talent. So in my book, we're going to have both Russell and Antonelli next year in Formula One at Mercedes. When it comes to Alonso and Stroll, we know that Alonso has signed until the end of 2026 and Stroll until 2025 and beyond, whatever that means. Many rumors saying that Stroll is going to be finally kicked out of Aston Martin. I don't think it's going to happen. Let me be honest with you. I don't think so. He's outqualified and outscored Alonso many times this year. When you outscore a two-time champion, a Le Mans winner, yes, a 40-something-year-old man, but still, when you manage to do that and you are the son of the owner of the team, you kind of have the team in your pocket. So in my opinion, both Alonso and Stroll will be at Aston Martin in 2026. Next up, we have a big one, Alpine. We know that Gasly has signed until the end of 2028 with Alpine, but what is going to happen to Franco Colapinto, and who will replace him if he is out? Now, Franco is a driver I've talked about in the past many times. I think he is a much better driver than what we've seen at Alpine, because we saw it at Williams. When it comes to Franco Colapinto, he has outqualified and outscored Pierre Gasly many times this year. For a rookie, those are very good numbers. But here is the issue. The Formula One point system perhaps has one issue. Anyone below P10 does not get any points, and many people like this and many people don't. In my previous video, which you can watch at the end of this one, I talked exactly about this one. In other forms of motorsport, many other drivers get points below P10, and some of them, even all of the drivers get points, and of course the ones at the top get way more. Because in Formula One they do not, Franco Colapinto, a driver who's been close to the points many times and outscore his teammate, who is much more experienced and a very good driver, still did not get to score any points. Franco Colapinto, as of today, is dead last on the standings with 0 points, just as many as Jack Doohan had when he got kicked out at the beginning of the year. So because of the nature of the system of this sport that we love, the reality is that I think that Franco Colapinto's seat is actually in jeopardy for 2026. And if you remember, when I talked about Red Bull, I talked about Yuki Tsunoda losing his seat. If this happens, most likely this will affect Franco Colapinto the most, because I think that Alpine will try to pair Pierre Gasly with Yuki Tsunoda. Why would they lose a rookie and put a driver who is not among the top in their team? Well, for two reasons. One is that both Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda both come from the Red Bull world, and that means a lot because they know each other, they know each other's driving styles, and they've had a similar upbringing in motorsport. The second one is that Yuki Tsunoda brings a little more experience and probably a little more sponsors, and a team like Alpine needs that money to make the team better. So my prediction for Alpine in 2026 is that we're going to see Pierre Gasly paired up with Yuki Tsunoda. Next up, we have Haas. Both Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman have been confirmed until the end of 2026, so I really don't expect many big changes to happen at Haas next year. Like I said, it is very likely that Ollie Behrman, if he improves at Haas, will at some point end up at Ferrari, given that he is also from the Ferrari family, and he showed a pretty good performance when he replaced Carlos Sainz. So I think that most likely he will at some point make this move to Ferrari. but not in 2026. After Haas, we have Williams. Both Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz have been signed until 2026. This is another team that got the right drivers for the right team, a team that is also showing progress and trust in their drivers, that has promised and delivered performance for both drivers, giving Carlos Sainz that podium that he wanted. So I fully expect both of these drivers to be at Williams for the next year and most likely for the next few years. Next up, we have Sauber, which turns into Audi next year. Both Hülkenberg and Bortoleto have signed a multi-year contract. These are two drivers that, in my opinion, are going to stay at Audi for sure. Hülkenberg is a very good driver and brings that experience, but also an aging driver that might at some point in the future retire. So I think Audi will most likely be his final team in Formula 1. Gabriel Bortoleto is the only one that could be poached in the future given his talent if Audi does not perform. But for 2026, I think they are both locked in. I am not changing either of these two guys. The final two that we have are Racing Bulls and Cadillac. And since we just talked about a new team that we're going to have next year, let's talk about another one. Cadillac. Cadillac has confirmed Perez until 2029, Bottas until 2027. I don't think there's much speculation to do here. These two drivers are confirmed. The only thing we can speculate is how good this team is going to be. It looks very promising. Let's get into the next team. Racing Bulls. I saved Racing Bulls until the very end on purpose. So if you're here, you're lucky you get to see this. The reason why I saved Racing Bulls until the very end is because this is a very spicy one. Of course, as I already told you, I predict Isaac Hadjar to be going to the main Red Bull team. That means that now his seat is empty. Now we have Liam Lawson's seat, who is also in jeopardy like we talked before. In my true, full, honest opinion, I don't think that Liam Lawson will get the boot again and now get kicked out of Racing Bulls. But that still leaves one seat open because Isaac Hadjar went to the main Red Bull. So who will replace Isaac Hadjar's seat? And oh boy, I'm glad I'm making this video now and not last week, because some big news happened just 2 days ago. The big news is that Alex Dunn, the F2 prodigy in the McLaren Academy, who was supposed to be the future of McLaren, just decided to quit McLaren. And now there's big rumors about him joining the Red Bull Academy. Now we can do a whole video about why Alex Dunn left the McLaren Academy, but I'm going to give you the quick summary for free so you don't have to waste your time. The quick summary is very simple. Alex Dunn has been dominating in F2 and waiting for his spot in F1. Well, if you have Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris renewing contracts, multi-year deals with McLaren, of course, as you can imagine, this driver is seeing that his future is not for sure in Formula 1 if he stays at McLaren. Therefore, he canceled contract just 2 days ago, and now the rumors are that he is going to the Red Bull Academy. Now, the official talk is that he is going to be competing in the Red Bull Academy in Formula 2 next year. Now, in my opinion, Alex Dunn will replace Isaac Hadjar in Formula 1. This is exactly the reason why he left the McLaren Academy. He wanted a seat in Formula 1. Perhaps it doesn't go exactly as I said, but after a few races, if they try with another rookie, they're most likely going to take Alex Dunn out of Formula 2 and move him into that seat. So I expect him to be the driver that drives, at least for the majority of the season, that second Racing Bulls seat. And that's it. That's all we got for today. Let me know your rankings down below. Thank you so much for watching. You can click right here to subscribe to this channel, and you can click right here to watch the next video that I created just for you. Until next time, bye.